Okay, so we're going to take a look at the vise here now, because we're going to use this. This is the method I'm going to show you for setting the marking gauge is how a beginner would use it. There is another way of doing this, but this kind of frees hands up and makes it easier for a beginner to do. Using the vise, you can use the arm of the vise to loosen it or open it out, and there's a quick release here on the side, which is squeeze can release the vise out and come out a little bit quicker. The marking gauge we're going to put into that there, but before we do that, we're just going to loosen that off, not till this falls on the floor, but until we can actually adjust this along its length along the stem. I'm going to open up the vise, and I place this in the vise. So the stock is actually in the vise now. That there can be adjusted now. Your hands are free. Both my hands are free now. The vise is holding the marking gauge for me. I want to set this to a distance of 15 millimeters, which is half the thickness of the wood. The wood's thickness is 30 millimeters. So you can see I've adjusted, I've kept this in tight to the side. I bring my ruler down to the tip of the spur, not down to the bottom of it, to the tip. And I make sure that it's right on the 15. And then once it's on the 15, you see it moved a little bit. I check to see that it didn't move off the measurement. If it did, I need to do a little adjustment on that, tighten it up again, and double check. So there is a bit of movement in that. So I have it set to 15 millimeters, and we're using that. Make sure it's tightened up, and after you've tightened it up, you can check it again. Go back to the vise, set it to the 15. That's tight. The brass tip is tight to the stock, and to the tip of the spur is our 15. And that's the marking gauge set up and ready for action for marking a line along the edge of the wood. Now, if I have a mortise gauge, I can do the same thing. I'll loosen this off, place this into the vise. I'm going to place it a wee bit closer to this side because I want to be able to reach my hand in to tighten up the locking nut. And again, do the same thing again. It's only loosened off enough to adjust it. My hands are free to get in here now and tighten up the nut. And double check to see that it's still on the 15 to the tip of the spur. And that's good to go. That's dead tight. Close up the vise so it's out of your way. And that's the mortise gauge set with the single spur. We don't use the thing with the two spurs. It's only the single spur if we're using the mortise gauge. But it just shows that it can be used just like a marking gauge, which is a single spur.